I speak to you today as a victim of one of the biggest medical scandals in the history of the United States of America.
Clementine is suing for medical negligence.
We are starting to see lawsuits come in from people who in their youth were transitioned for their own good, suing doctors for medical malpractice. Will this make a difference? Let's take a look. Welcome back to the JP Reacts channel, my beautiful freedom-loving friend. This is where we like to call out lies, hypocrisy, and corruption and highlight the amazing work of other freedom fighters because truth conquers. But to conquer anything, you gotta be strong. Luckily, here to help us get stronger is Ancestral Supplements grass-fed beef liver. It's nature's multivitamin for a reason. It makes your metabolism fast, energy high, and your cravings for crap low. I dare say it's time to get stronger and healthier with beef liver. Grab yours at ancestralsupplements.com/JPReacts, and for 15% off, use discount code JPReacts. Now let's get into it. I dare say we've been living through an era of crimes against humanity framed as this is care for humanity. And a lot of that's been aimed specifically at the most innocent part of our population, the youth, the young people. You know, the young people who don't have fully developed brains and capabilities yet. Thus, they need to be under the care of their parents because they don't have that capacity for themselves. The same youth that can't get tattoos because they're not old enough. The same youth that can't drive cars because they're not old enough. Oh, you mean the youth that are somehow also old enough at the same time to make life-altering decisions about their body because they're uncomfortable with the way they feel inside, so they can just cut and hormonalize themselves so they can feel better? Yep, that's the same youth. I dare say this has been crimes against humanity. Footnote, I'm all about freedom. If you're an adult and you want to cut off parts of your body, you want to alter your body, I will not necessarily support that, but I will absolutely support your freedom to do what you want with yourself, so long as it doesn't infringe on the rights of others. My hope for you is that you do things constructive for yourself, but being principled in freedom, if you're an adult, of course you have the right to do harm onto yourself. These are minors that we're talking about. And I think we've all been suspicious for a while. I don't think this trans indoctrination of youth and the medical care, by the way, how fun is it that it's called medical care? Did you just beat him to death with a baseball bat? Oh no, I provided medical care to him with a baseball bat. It's different. Looks the same, but it's different. We've all been suspicious. What's going to put an end to this? Will it be what is inevitably a pile of lawsuits coming against doctors who do these medical practices and then they're intimidated from doing them even if the law doesn't shut them down, but they realize, hey, there's huge financial consequence on me if I keep doing these things. I can't get insured or I have to pay way more for my insurance, so financially it's just not worth it. It appears as though we might be on the doorstep of that. There's some people in the news that have had lawsuits come in for a while, and there's a new person announced a lawsuit on Fox News, which I just love that this is broadcast to the world. Kind of sends a warning shot. Here's what I don't like about this. Let's just say, before we get into the details, that the lawsuits against the gender-affirming care industry is what puts a stop to this being imposed on minors. I would say stopping this on minors is a good thing, but I don't like that it would be financially motivated. That's better than nothing. To me, what would warm my heart is there's a motivation based on principle and human decency. You're doing horrendous things to kids. Please see that and then stop doing it on that basis. Because if this is what's successful, it means the doctors in the industry that stop doing this, they're only stopping because they're financially motivated. Wow, it costs me more money to keep doing this. I like money, therefore I'll stop doing this. So ultimately, I have more money than if I kept doing it. It's better than nothing, but still, we have to recognize a lack of being principled that motivates some of these people to stop imposing these procedures onto minors. Oh, but it saves lives. Studies out of Sweden show that people who go through transition surgery have higher suicide rates. Now, those are long-term studies, so please forgive me. I know Pfizer would love to tell you, the propaganda industry would love to tell you, no, we did a 3-day follow-up. The people are healthier, they're happier based on these 3 days. those years-long follow-up studies, I think they're less accurate because they cover more time and are more thorough. So with the latest lawsuit that's hitting the airwaves, a lady named Clementine Breen, she's a student at UCLA. She was recently on Fox News. So we'll hear a little bit from her and her lawyer. Then we'll get into some of the details of what led her to transition in the first place. And dare I say, it's horrendous. This was pushed on her by her school. Then she's taken to some psychotic doctor. We'll tell you who that is. And now she's got irreversible damage.
How old were you when you started?
I was about 12 when I started on puberty block.
Well, you're 12. This is basically the new 48.
Your parents say?
My parents were really resistant originally.
Well, that's originally good parenting.
They were pretty strongly believing that I was not transgender, and they were told by my former doctor that I was at very high risk for suicide if they didn't agree to the treatment.
And you were...
Now that is parental tyranny. A doctor who says your child is going to be at high risk of suicide if they don't get this procedure that you pay me for. That is emotional terrorism on parents. What another detransitioner, Chloe, names in her lawsuit, her lawyers specifically cite the long-term study out of Sweden that says people who go through transition surgery have higher suicide rates. Her doctor didn't tell her that. And we'll see more details on Clementine in just a minute, but you'll also see that her doctor completely ignored all the mental health issues that she had. She's been through repeated sexual abuse, had undiagnosed PTSD. Do you think mental health issues that are untreated might lead to another mental health issue called suicidal ideation? Which, by the way, when her doctor told her parents this could lead to suicide if you don't do it, she wasn't suicidal. We'll get back to this in just a second, but first, as you know, things are obviously getting crazy out there right now, and I think now is a good time for me to remind myself and remind you it is very important to take care of ourselves. And that starts with our health. Whether you're wanting to burn more calories to get in better shape, or you're wanting to detoxify yourself because we're swimming in a sea of toxins, or you're wanting to de-stress yourself because life has gotten stressful, here's one of my favorites. The Bond Charge Infrared Sauna Blanket. Nothing else does so much to improve our health all at the same time. Boost your metabolism, boost your energy, detoxify yourself, melt away stress, and sleep better. I used to be the type of person that would sit around hoping I would feel good. But now I like to take those matters into my own hands, and the Bond Charge Infrared Sauna Blanket helps me do it. I do 30-minute sessions 3 times a week, and I always get out of the sauna blanket feeling recharged and better. It's super powerful, heats up super quick, and it's convenient. It's the most cost-effective, space-efficient sauna system on the market. That's why I love it. Bond Charge ships worldwide in rapid time, comes with a 12-month warranty, and they offer easy returns and exchanges. And for extra savings, all Bond Charge products are HSA, FSA eligible, giving you up to a 40% tax-free savings. When times get chaotic and stressful, that's when it's most important to take care of ourselves. And to do that, go to bondcharge.com/JPReacts and use the discount code JPReacts to get 15% off all Bond Charge products. Enjoy, my Freedom Warrior friend. Now, back to the topic at hand. Now let's bring her lawyer into the discussion.
You know, Clementine is suing for medical negligence, and her story is, of course, unique. But what I can tell you is it is by no means isolated.
It's very lawyer. Her story is unique, but it's not isolated, which basically means it's not unique. This is happening to a lot of youth.
And so by that, I mean, you know, we started our firm with the sole mission of representing detransitioners and victims of radical gender ideology.
And perhaps the radical gender ideology sect that has medical licenses are shaking in their unisex boots right now. To me, this is music to my ears, hearing there's a whole law firm founded just to bring lawsuits representing people who were transitioned under the age of 18. Now let's take a look at some of the details of Clementine Breen's case. Now this is from NBC News, which by the way, throughout this article, are doing their best to toe the line of like, no, this is medical care. So when she was 11, she started going through puberty. Her body's changing. And by the way, that can be an uncomfortable time for 100% of all kids. She expressed her discomfort to her then school counselor in California. The counselor told her that she was transgender and called her parents to tell them. Pay attention to that. That wasn't Clementine, when she was 11, saying, I'm transgender. We still got to be pretty suspicious of that. That was her school counselor telling her she's transgender, then picking up the phone and telling her parents she's transgender. Dare I say, get your kids out of public school if you can. Certainly if you're in California. And then get them out of California. And we might want to pay attention to these untreated mental health issues that her as a kid was suffering with. Breen, who was also suffering from anxiety, depression, and undiagnosed post-traumatic stress disorder, according to her lawyer, was then taken by her parents to the Center for Trans Youth Health and Development at Children's Hospital, Los Angeles, where she said she was diagnosed with gender dysphoria, distress that one can experience when their gender identity and birth sex are in conflict, and began receiving trans-related care at 12 years old. This case is about a team of purported health care providers who collectively decided that a vulnerable girl struggling with complex mental health struggles and suffering from multiple instances of sexual abuse should be prescribed a series of life-altering puberty blockers and cross-sex hormones, ultimately receive a double mastectomy at the age of 14. Meanwhile, her mental health, shockingly, didn't get better. It progressively declined. Now, just to name names, her lawsuit includes a lawsuit against Dr. Johanna Olson-Kennedy, an adolescent medicine physician specializing in gender-affirming care. When asked to comment on the lawsuit, a spokesperson said the Center for Trans Health and Development at Children's Hospital Los Angeles, where Olson-Kennedy works, she has provided high-quality, age-appropriate, medically necessary care for more than 30 years. There is already an outright lie in that. Medically necessary care. That's what this doctor provides. But when you look at the print, that's not even fine print. At 14, this young lady received a double mastectomy, and it's listed literally as an elective procedure, double mastectomy. If it was medically necessary, it would be a medically required procedure in accordance with medical necessary care for 30 years. But no, it was an elective procedure. Almost makes it sound like these transitions aren't medically necessary. Now, let's take a look at a short clip of this doctor who's being sued, Dr. Johanna Olson-Kennedy, explaining why mastectomies for healthy teen girls is no big deal.
I'm just going to say this, that actually people get married when they're under 20.
That's the doctor doing surgeries on kids, altering them for life. Actually, people get married when they're under 20. So in the context, she's trying to rationalize why kids are absolutely able to make life-altering decisions.
Actually, people choose colleges to go to. Actually, people make life-altering decisions in adolescence.
I don't know if she's drunk, but you want that doctor making decisions for you?
All the time. And honestly, most of them are good. It's just the bad ones that we talk about.
Yeah. Kids can make bad decisions. I hope she listens to those words.
Oh my God, the cinnamon challenge, right? I mean, why do we know about it? Because it's a thing, and it's not common. Like, most teenagers aren't eating cinnamon, right?
Now, if I was advising her, I would advise her not to bring up that analogy. She's bringing up an example of bad decisions kids make. The cinnamon challenge. They choke on cinnamon. That is an example of kids making bad decisions. Now, this one's not life-altering by any stretch, but she's basically strengthening the case against her.
But some are, and they're on YouTube, and that's stupid. But we don't put on YouTube the things that are really good decisions, right? Oh my gosh, my kid took the SATs. Not a very exciting after-school special, right? But so what we do know is that adolescents actually have the capacity to make a reasoned, logical decision.
They do have that capacity, but they don't have the capacity to only make reasoned, logical decisions.
And here's the other thing about chest surgery. If you want breasts at a later point in your life, you can go and get them.
There you go. Might as well cut them off now, because if you want them later, we can just put different ones on later. Like, you have nothing to lose when you think about it this way. And we only put kids and their bad decisions on YouTube. We don't put their good decisions on YouTube. We just put their bad decisions on YouTube. Well, to help strengthen our case, here's a YouTube video of a youth who made a bad decision. Chloe Cole, she's been one of the most widely publicized detransitioners. Here she is testifying in front of Congress.
Adults in my life whom I trusted affirmed my belief, and this caused me lifelong, irreversible harm. I speak to you today as a victim of one of the biggest medical scandals in the history of the United States of America. I speak to you in the hope that you will have the courage to bring the scandal to an end and ensure that other vulnerable teenagers, children, and young adults don't go through what I went through.
Well, it's nice of her to put her bad decision on YouTube so that maybe other kids don't make the same bad decision. Oh, it's also worth mentioning this actually Dr. Olson-Kennedy, who's being sued by Clementine. A little more info that we might want to know about her. Here, this is the Catholic Vote. Olson-Kennedy has long been making headlines, most recently when the House Oversight Committee announced in November the launch of an investigation into the NIH nearly $10 million taxpayer-funded study that this doctor led into trans research. Now, this doctor who led the research refused to publish the research. Let's hear more. Olson-Kennedy refused to reveal her results because they apparently contradicted the claimed effectiveness of puberty blockers, an outcome she said she wanted to ensure would not be weaponized and used in lawsuits against so-called gender-affirming care. This is how dedicated this doctor is to science. She receives $10 million in taxpayer funds to do research on the effectiveness of puberty blockers. The research results are in, and boy, the results are such that I'm not going to let anybody see these because it might cause some people to not want to do these puberty blockers so much. And it's taxpayer funded research, by the way, so I dare say we have the right to see the results, but also her refusing to share the results not only speaks to her dedication to science and her dedication to the ultimate good of everyone, it also basically just reveals the results because she won't share them with anybody. So with these lawsuits, and we're only going to be seeing more and more of them against the, if you can even call them, medical personnel who do these hormonal prescriptions and surgeries on minors. We're only going to see more of them. Will they be the thing that ends this tyranny against our children? My hypothesis is it's definitely going to slow it down. And like I mentioned earlier in the video, it's a little bit heartbreaking. What would stop this tyranny against children is financial incentives. That is sad. It's great that it will hopefully be stopped or slowed greatly, but the fact that it wouldn't be stopped based on morals, principles, and human decency still reveals these doctors would be scum. That's just my opinion. Let me know what you think in the comments below, and I'll look forward to seeing you on our next video. But until then, just know God doesn't make mistakes.